Whenever I hear a cello playing, I actually think of the band or the musical group Apocalyptica. Freaking fantastic. Chase Liaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing Cello, or is it The Cello? Who knows what's about pretty simple premise. This is a Saudi Arabian horror film about a possessed cello, and the owner of it, you want to put it that way, is the devil. And he wants you to play this sonnet perfectly and play it. And once he plays it, you maybe release this family from the cello, but also get a lot of people to kill each other at the same time. Kind of like the Kingsman church scene. So, do you like this film? Okay, this was not a bad film. As the first time seeing a quasi Saudi Arabian horror film that is Arabic as well as English language, as well as someplace taken in Italy, I don't think it's that bad. You can tell it's very low budget. It's a director who did Saw 2, 3, 4. That's why Tobin Bell is in it. Jeremy Irons is in it. And a bunch of Saudi Arabian actors and actresses, which they do a pretty solid job exploring this universe. I would say it takes a lot from other films, which that's not a bad thing, but there's almost too much that's too identical that you're like, that's from The Kingsman, this is from that movie, this is from that movie, and when you try to correlate it all together, you go, I don't mind you nitpicking, but it needed to be a little bit more original on some scenes. So when talking about the positives, I do think there's some solid gore and deaths in this film. It is, like I said, very low budget. The director of Saw did it, so there is going to be some crazy bones coming out of skin, twisting heads, back cracking, and things like that. While I wish it was a little bit more practical on some effects, it does work overall when it comes to the oh shit factor. Especially there's one where they decide to like smash the cello, and it does something pretty horrific to a person. And you're like, okay, that's kind of cool and messed up at the same time. Then we come to the story. I do think it's very fascinating what they decided to do with this whole family and this cello being what it's made of. And you're like, okay, that's unique. However, it goes to the storyline of it's kind of a very weak backstory of how we're supposed to believe this cello and this family correlates with it, as well as what the devil, which I'm guessing that's what the devil is. Just think about the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia and he was looking for a friend to steal, or a friend of mine, blah, 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 making a deal. It was like Korn also did a remake as well as Nickelback. But yeah, this is kind of that story where the devil went down to Italy looking for a friend. Is it looking for a... I'm screwing up these words, but he's looking for someone in Italy. And he says, you are the one that I'm going to challenge, and I want you to play my piece. Which I just wish we knew exactly what this piece was supposed to do, or the overall conclusion of this piece. Because in the story, we get it where it's like, oh shit, you start playing, people in the room go apeshit crazy. Whoever hears it goes crazy. Like I said, that's the same thing with the Kingsman and Samuel L. Jackson's character. Whoever hears this sound goes apeshit crazy. Same thing here. And that's fine and dandy, but I want to know what the overall goal of the devil is to do with this cello sonnet, as well as this person who decided to stop it, if you want to put it that way. It feels a little weak. And what I mean by that is you have multiple storylines that kind of go in this lineage of this cello going into different families and manipulating people, and people are dying over and over and over again. However, there's this box in this movie, right? And it feels like only one person found this box. So it makes me wonder how these other lineages from the 1700s to today decided not to play the cello and figure out how to put this family back in the cello. Yes, I might be talking about a lot of the negatives first, but like I said, there's some solid acting. I think the landscape, this is a Saudi Arabian production, so I like what it was doing. Like I said, I've been to Saudi Arabia once, but I was never in Riyadh. I was about an hour south of Riyadh, so I never saw the richness of it. The richness of the Middle East I've seen was Qatar and going into the city of that, which is freaking crazy, where it's like literally the outskirts is nothing. Then you're like, you cross this threshold and boom, that's where the $1 billion are. And it's absolutely bonkers. And so I understand why they would do it here, because Saudi Arabia is also trying to, I want to see be more progressive, but, you know, better with women's rights, better with, you know, trying to be the Saudi Arabia 30 and doing everything to make it a cleaner world. So sure, and also doing the peace agreement with Israel. So Saudi Arabia is trying to get their name out, if you want to put it that way, to be like, hey, we got money, let's make it a good movie. And like I said, this is a solid looking movie. there are some things that you just gotta take for disbelief, especially there's this car crash scene in the beginning, and you're like, "How did that car flip, and what exactly is occurring?" Like I said, low budget, and I don't know the censorship, if you wanna put it that way, of what Saudi Arabian's productions can do. I don't know that. For example, I know China, you can't do ghosts, you can't do this, this, this. Saudi Arabia, I still don't know yet, but you could tell that they decided to do some gore, but on some levels, it felt like there was a little bit, I want to call it censorship, but more of like, let's edit that out. Let's not make it so extreme on this level. Uh, I have nothing wrong with the acting. Like I said, pretty solid deaths. If it's an interesting story enough to keep you entertained, I do wish, though, it just talked more about the backstory, about why the devil wants to do this, the whole fame aspect of it, of where apparently the devil has gone to multiple people and made them do the sonnet, and that's why they're famous. But it just makes you wonder, like, there's no history about just random people freaking dying for all these famous people doing what they want to do with, like, the flute, the saxophone, other instruments. So, like I said, there's a lot of plot holes in this story, but it is fun enough to be like, it's not a horrible movie. So overall, Cello, interesting premise. However, it takes a little bit too much from other characters and other movies. But out of the whole 2 hours, I did have a good time. It went by pretty breezy. I mean, yeah, I would say like 10 minutes, you're kind of feeling the runtime. But it's not bad. It really isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So Cello will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futon, which equals at 60%. So see the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have critics, there is one of them, and we have a positive with a 3 out of 5, and then nothing from the audience, so 60%. Chase like here with the Blue Futon, like, comment, subscribe. Well, no things, Butantopia. You Bhutan, take a great day. I don't care about this today, tomorrow, week from now, month from now, a year from now, every single freaking one of you. And what musical instrument do you think would be the scariest to be haunted by? I think if you had a drum kit, you could put a lot of family members in those drum kits. Just saying.